Hey class, so we left off, we had just created these footings. You'll notice that the footings are hatched and a solid line. Now in the final drawing, we typically show footings as dashed lines. So again, we need to change the graphics of these. So we are going to select one, right click and say override graphics in view, but we want to change all of them, not just this one element, so we're going to click category. And this brings up these view specific graphics. The projection lines, you have to expand that by pressing the down arrow. The projection lines are the lines that describe the edges of this thing. So we want to change those to, we're going to go with hidden 1/8. We're going to try that, and actually you can try that out by hitting apply, and you'll see that change take effect. Now we also don't want to see the hatch, so on the surface pattern, because again we're looking at the top of the footing in this view based upon where our cut line is, so we are going to uncheck visible and hit apply, and that's exactly what we want to see. The wall is fine being hatched. We're going to leave that. So we overrode the graphics only for the footing. The last piece that we have to put in here for our basement is the slab. So we're still on the structure tab. The slab is right here, right next to the wall foundation that we just created. So we're going to click slab. The only thing that we have is a 6-inch foundation slab. So we're going to edit this type. I'm going to remember to duplicate this time. And we're going to rename it 4 inches. Get rid of the 2. Hit OK. Edit the structure. And again, the only thing in this foundation slab is a 6-inch piece of structure. So we're going to change that to 4 inches. Hit OK. Hit OK. And now we have a 4-inch foundation slab. We're going to check our drawing options. We're drawing the boundary line. And we're going to pick the walls. Again, that way it will lock the edge of the foundation to the wall. And this is all fine. Extended to wall core is fine because it's not going to extend it anywhere because the wall core is also the face of the wall. So make sure that you select towards the interior face of the wall. And we're just picking each of these walls until we have a closed boundary. We're going to hit the green check mark button, finish edit mode. Again, when this comes up, I'm going to say no, and there's my slab. Now, because this is a structural slab, it puts this notation in here. I generally just select that and then delete it. I don't need that notation in a residential drawing. Now, you'll notice because we created a slab, and because of where we're cutting this view, now we can't see the inside face of the footing. It's there. When I select it or hover over it, you can see it, but I can't see it because the slab is blocking it from my view. So to change that, I'm going to override some more graphics. I'm going to select the slab. Again, I've got my select by face turned on. I'm going to right click, override graphics in view. Now this time again, I'm going to do element because I just want to do this one slab. And what I want to change is I want to change the surface transparency. I want to turn that to 100% transparent so it's see-through. If I hit apply, you'll see that now I can see, I've essentially just made my slab like a window that I can see through. It's still there. I can select it. I can edit it. It still exists in this view. It's completely transparent and I can see the inside face of my footing. The last thing I need to do is dimension this plan. I'm going to show you how to do the dimensions on this plan. I probably won't do that for the first floor plan. We haven't really created too many dimensions yet, but I generally use the aligned dimension tool on the quick access toolbar. Again, your toolbar might be up here at the top. So I use align dimension. And now again, you'll notice it always wants to hover, or it wants to pick the center line of the wall. So we're going to fix that. We're going to hit escape. I'm going to go up to the manage ribbon, or the manage tab to get the manage ribbon. I'm going to go to this wrench icon for additional settings, come down here to temporary dimensions, and I'm going to change where my dimensions are from the face of the wall. The center line is fine. That's going to help me later. Now I'm going to go back to dimension, and it still hovers over the center of the line. I realized that when I was going over that little manage thing. It's actually right up here in our options. We want to do the faces, wall faces. That option that I just changed will help us later. So it's a good thing that we changed that. But we change that to wall faces. We click on the edge, click on the next edge, and we can just keep going with the dimension string to the other side. We're going to pull this out, give ourselves some space, and click. Now we can do our overall dimension. And you'll notice that Revit actually kind of snaps right to where the dimension has just enough room for the next dimension string. So that's really nice. So we can click these lines. I'm going to give myself just enough room. And again, I can do my overall out-to-out dimension, and it snaps to that point. Same thing on this side. Do all my wall dimensions. Now I don't need to do an out-to-out dimension because it's already placed over here. And down here, we're going to choose these lines. And there we go. Our basement plan is essentially finished. So I'm going to close that plan. I'm going to go back to level 1. And we'll come back to that plan when we want to put it on a sheet. So the next thing I'm going to do, well, first, because I've already got my floor in here, I don't really need to see this much detail. I'm going to set my detail level here down at my view control bar back to coarse, so I only see 2 lines for my walls. And I'm actually going to turn off selecting things by surface so that doesn't pop up anymore. And I want to place my interior walls. Now we haven't done any interior walls yet. The way that I like to do interior walls is I like to lay them out without paying close attention to the dimensions. I want to get them in the relative places that I want them to be. So, and then I will dimension them and use those dimensions to drive their location. So let me just jump into that. So we are going to go to the architecture ribbon. We want to create walls. Now we want to create interior walls, so we're going to check our type, and we want a 4.5 inch interior partition wall. That doesn't exist, so we're going to grab this 4 7/8 and then edit the type. We're going to come in here and edit the structure. We're going to see that this wall is made up of 5/8 inch gypsum wallboard on either side and a 3 5/8 inch metal stud. We're going to change that to a 3.5 inch stud. We're going to change the material. And again, I'm going to type softwood because that's what I want. I only type SOF and that comes up. Select softwood lumber, hit OK. My gypsum wallboard thickness is a 1/2 inch either side because this is residential. So we hit OK. Actually, before we hit OK, we can see that this now total thickness 4.5 inches. Hit OK. We're going to rename this. I haven't used this yet, so it's okay to rename this. I'm going to call this interior 4.5 inch partition, and I'm going to get rid of the 1 hour because this is no longer 1 hour rated. Hit OK. So we've got our interior wall type. So like I said, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start drawing the walls. Now, interior walls, I tend to be okay with the wall being in the center line. We're going to place these using the face dimensions anyway. The base constraints level 1, base offset 0, top constraints level 2, top offset 0. All of my options are correct, and I'm going to draw these using the line tool. So I'm going to come in here. Again, I'm not paying that much attention to where these are. This is the wall of my living room. I know I have a wall for my stair, for the middle of my stair. There's a wall that comes out to here, and then there's a wall here. Then I have a piece of wall that creates my closet and my mechanical space back here. Again, I'm not paying attention to the exact dimensions. I'm just drawing them to get them in the relative locations. This wall actually goes all the way across, so I'm just going to edit that wall using the handle. And I'm referencing the final deliverable. I have it off screen here, and I'm looking at that while I draw this. So I'm going to go back to the wall command. Save your project. I'm not saving because I have many of these, but that's a good idea to save. I'm going to draw this wall down, this wall over, and then I just need to draw one more piece of wall to create that closet. So here's my bathroom and my closet. So that is essentially all of my interior walls. They're just not located properly. The way that I'm going to locate these is I'm going to use dimensions. Now I could select these, and I've talked about temporary dimensions before. There are these blue dimensions that pop up. Unfortunately, they're never really in the right spot. This dimension here, I would have to drag this down to here, and that's why I changed that setting up in the Manage toolbar before in these temporary dimensions here, because now they do default to the faces. But I would have to come down here, and this is supposed to be 15 foot 3.5, so I'd type 15 feet 3.5 inches, and that's correct. So that is one way to do it, is with temporary dimensions. But like I noted, the temporary dimensions don't always go to the places you want them to. So what we can do is, we know that we're going to have to dimension this stuff later. Why not dimension it and use those dimensions to drive the locations? So this is a little bit different in Revit. In AutoCAD, you tend not to dimension until the last step when everything's set, but in Revit, the dimensions change with the geometry, with the walls, so it makes sense to do that now. So we're going to hit that Align Dimension button on our Quick Access toolbar, and we are going to go again from wall faces, that's already set from previously. We're going to click from this wall to this wall, and then from this wall to this wall. Now this isn't a dimension string because I'm excluding the wall thickness, so I do have to come in here and create all different dimensions. Now I am aligning them though like they're in a dimension string. And now that wall is correct. This wall, if I select this, you can see now that this dimension is a temporary dimension, and I can simply click there. It's going exactly where I want it to be. This wall, now again, pay attention. To change this dimension, I don't select the dimension, I select the thing I want to change, the wall. So I'm going to type 3 feet here, and notice I'm going left to right because it's affecting the rest of these dimensions. If let's say I went back here, and I know that this dimension here is 3 feet, and I say, okay, I want that to be 3 feet. Well, if I go back here and select this wall and say, okay, well, now I want that to be 3 feet, well, this dimension's wrong here. So you have to go from one side to the next. So, and of course, I typed the wrong dimension there, so that's 3 feet. This is 3 feet. And this is a closet, so this is 2 feet. This wall aligns with this wall, so I'm going to use that handy dandy align tool. AL is the command. I want it to align to this wall, and this is what I'm aligning. Simple as that. Now this wall here, again, I can throw a dimension from the outside face to here like it is in the final deliverable. Choose this wall, and then set this dimension to be 3 feet 4. So I'm going to go through this last little piece here and get these walls wrapped up, and then we're going to pick up at that point.